Well, I would say this is a deep episode of Vinland Saga, but most of them are deep. This one seemed to be pretty heavy. Um, it's my review of episode 21. Spoiler alert. I always watch these videos and I start doing the review right afterwards. I literally turn the video off, turn my camera on, and start doing the videos. So how I feel from the episode is what you get from me especially when I first start. Anyway, I've got to go back to the beginning, and I'll get to why I'm kind of somber from the episode. Episode starts with them going into York. The prince, Thorfinn, Thorkel, Askeladd, and all their men are going into York, meeting King Sweyn. They're supposed to meet him for whatever reward he was going to give the prince for surviving in London that Askeladd had talked him into instead of killing him. So, anyway, as they're there, Askeladd's talking to the prince, and he tells the prince, there's going to be an assassination attempt on you today. And sure enough, right when he says that in the film, in the show, somebody comes out with a crossbow, hits the prince, drops him. So as they're checking on him, they see it's a woman's body. They're like, "Oh my God, the prince is a woman. We heard the rumors. We're going back to it before." And in my head, I'm going, "Okay, so he is a woman." So then they're like, "No, this was a body double." The prince comes up, so the prince isn't a woman. So they got me because I, again, was thinking that the prince was a woman. Anyway, it was a body double, and the female body double died. Prince was upset about that, but Askeladd set the double in place in case the prince got assassinated. There was an assassination attempt. And now that there's been an assassination attempt, King Sweyn looks terrible. Because it looks like he may have tried to kill his son, especially since Askeladd is kind of stirring up rumors that it could be the case. It puts the prince in an advantageous position because now the king can't do anything to him because his people will turn against him because if he kills his own son. So, Askeladd's a genius. Everybody knows that. So, that was smart of him. Come to find out, Askeladd was the one who hired the person with the crossbow to shoot the body double. So King Sweyn didn't even have anything to do with the alleged assassination attempt. Askeladd just killed another person for, his own purposes. Great guy. But anyway, he set this whole plan in motion, and it's working so far. So it puts the king in a position where he's got to back off of his son. Any plans he has to do anything to his son, because he could get in trouble with his people for that, and he doesn't want to incur the wrath of his subjects. While this is all going on, the person with the crossbow gets killed by Thorfinn. Thorfinn comes, chases him down, and kills him. It's not clear if Thorfinn understood that the assassination attempt was planned by Askeladd. He ends up telling everybody this later on in a meeting that he has with everybody, including Gunnar, who was Ragnar's brother. But at any rate, Thorfinn kills him, and he bumps into this person from his past. It was a person that was there with him when his father died, and he ends up recognizing the guy, gives him a big hug, and Thorfinn lets him, so it tells you he has some affection for the person, or either that or he was just in shock. So they end up talking. The guy's trying to get Thorfinn to go back home with him. Thorfinn asks the guy about Vinland. He's like, "Don't you want to hear about your mom? Your mom is sick. She needs to see you. Come back home with me." Thorfinn gets mad at him. He's like, "I asked you about Vinland. I don't want to hear about anything I didn't ask you about." So in that moment, you see Thorfinn's put his mom and his sister out of his mind. It seems because he's so focused and hell-bent on Askeladd, killing Askeladd still. So anyway, they have this big meeting. Askeladd lays out everything, all of his plans for everyone. Ragnar hears it. Ragnar leaves. He's like, "Oh man, you're brilliant," and he leaves. And then Askeladd tells everybody, "Look, he's probably a traitor. He's probably with the king." So then they're like, "Well, why would you tell him all this stuff? Why would you talk to him about stuff?" He's talking to Thorkel and the prince and about this. And he says, "I told him what I wanted him to know and what I wanted him to relay to the king. So we end up seeing Ragnar going and telling somebody who's going to go and tell the king what he heard in this meeting. So Askeladd even planned for that. So he is like 10 steps ahead of everybody, as he is usually in this show. So that's that. So we're waiting to see, what's going to come of the meeting that they're going to have at York. After Askeladd set all this stuff in motion. And King Swain kind of knows Askeladd's the reason people are whispering about this meeting. So King Swain's not stupid either. He understands how wise Askeladd is. So it's going to be interesting to see them play chess against each other through all of this. At the end of this episode, Askeladd meets with Bjorn, his right-hand man who had that critical injury and is allegedly dying. And they had a nice little chat, and then he tells Askeladd, see you in the morning. He asks him how his leg is. Askeladd's like, it's seen too many arrows, but it's fine. So Bjorn's like, see you in the morning. So the next morning, Prince and Askeladd and all are out. Thorfinn comes up. Thorfinn's challenging Askeladd again. I think this is the 4 millionth time he's challenged him. So Askeladd's like, look, the prince came in, and Prince was like, look, I'm going to be the, basically referee of this, but y'all have to stop when I tell you to. Askeladd agreed to it. Interestingly enough, Thorfinn never said okay to this, so I'm curious how that's going to play out. Because by the end of this episode, they did not have the duel because Askeladd's like, I have a previous appointment. Bjorn comes up, obviously ill, but with his sword. So, I guess this is his way to Valhalla. He's challenging Askeladd. So as they go and fight, Bjorn has this really impassioned plea basically to Askeladd. He's like, all I want to do is be your friend, but you always, despise me and all our men. And anyway, they go at each other. Askeladd stabs him and looks horrified. He's like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I meant to go for your heart. Bjorn falls and he's like, all I wanted was to be your friend. And then Askeladd says, you are my friend. You're the only friend I've ever had. Then Bjorn's like, finish me. And then they cut away and you hear Askeladd stab Bjorn, but they don't show it. Which is odd for this show because they love blood. But this is a touching moment. So he kills him, covers him up in the snow, covers him up. He's laying in the snow and he's covered up. And then Askeladd at the end says, okay, I'll play your game. To Thorfinn. He's like, okay, I'm done with this situation. Let's do this. And that's how it ends. So we've got the duel coming up again with Thorfinn and Askeladd with the caveat from the prince that you have to stop when I tell you to. So we'll have to see how that plays out. We have the meeting at York coming up with King Swain with all the rumors of King Swain trying to kill his son, even though that's not what happened. So we have to see how that shakes out. We have the old man, which I don't know if they're going to show him again. I forgot his name, who's from Iceland and from where Thorfinn grew up, saying he's not going to give up on Thorfinn. He wants Thorfinn to come home. So we have to see how that shakes out. So this episode left a lot of unanswered questions. We also have to see how they play Gunnar, because they didn't kill him. They didn't do anything to him. So Gunnar still thinks he's in good with Askeladd and the prince and the crew. So he's going to stick around and be a spy. But because Askeladd knows this, Askeladd is going to use him. So that's going to be interesting. So this episode's kind of pivotal. And I think there's, 24 episodes in the season. We're at 21, so we're nearing the end of season 1. Be excited to see how the season ends. But this episode's setting up a lot of what I imagine we're going to see go down in the next few episodes. Again, very enjoyable. So we'll see what happens.